Well, Paul Finebaum and former UGA great and NFL Hall of Famer Champ Bailey had an interesting conversation today on Paul's show on the SEC Network, and they talked a lot about Georgia. They talked a little bit about this weekend's matchup against Kentucky. They talked about Kirby Smart and recruiting. All encompassing, they talked about the Georgia Bulldogs, and I think they had some interesting things to say, some noteworthy things to say, and of course I'm going to talk about that for you right here on Dog Post. Ryan Curley from Dog Post here, bringing you all the details and some commentary along with that ahead of the College Game Day and SEC Nation featured matchup between Georgia and Kentucky, which I'll dive into that a little bit later. But what did Paul and Champ Bailey have to say? Something, the biggest thing that I took away from it was it's going to be a crazy place. That is what Paul Finebaum had to say. I agree. I don't think we're talking about this Georgia crowd and Sanford Stadium enough, and Athens enough. I think it's starting to become a little bit overlooked. How I'm probably gonna use the word elite a lot of times in this video because, Kirby Smart likes to talk about elite performances. I'm starting to think that this is just an elite Georgia team, and this Georgia fan base that attends the games and the city. Maybe they're just elite cities and an elite crowd. That's how I'm going to start framing it, because that's what I believe. I think that's what a lot of people they're starting to jump on that wagon. We talk about the Arkansas game a couple weeks ago here, and I don't think it necessarily gets overlooked, but I think that might have been the loudest Georgia game I've ever been to, and I went to the Notre Dame game 2 years ago. I've been to plenty of other games. That was so loud for a long time. And it was a noon kickoff, College Game Day in town. The atmosphere was crazy, starting at like 8, 9 a.m. in Athens. And Paul Finebaum is predicting this weekend it's going to be a crazy place. He's talking about Athens and Sanford Stadium and how it's going to be difficult for Kentucky to come into Georgia and beat the Dogs, and I agree with him completely. The spread is around 22 points. Georgia's favorite. I haven't checked. The last time I checked, it was 22.5. I think it's changed a little bit. So, Georgia's projected to win by a little bit more than 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think it's gonna be around that. I don't think this is a high scoring game. This is the kind of game where Georgia gets up by a little bit and then pounds the ball. But I don't foresee Kentucky putting up many points against the Dogs in Athens. We saw they gave a big old goose egg to Arkansas, and I don't think Kentucky is really that much better than Arkansas. Will Levis, he's a good quarterback. He's not going to come in here and throw for 300 yards. Chris Rodriguez leads the SEC in rushing, but has, and Kentucky has a great offensive line, but he hasn't played a front seven like Georgia's. This is an elite defense. This is an elite crowd. The offense has potential to be elite. Georgia is an elite program right now, and the machine is built. Kirby Smart has built the machine. The fans are buying into it. The team has bought into it. The recruits have obviously bought into it because he's had a top 3 class for the last few years. The machine is built, and I think that what is going to start happening here is similar to what Alabama has been the last 10 years. That's what's building here right now, and more people are starting to see that. Champ Bailey said the thing that sticks out to him is that there are so many elite players. He's talking about the defense specifically. He can't just point to one guy and say that they're making a difference, because so many of them are making a difference. I just read that off. I wrote down what he said as I was watching. I was like, I got to talk about this later for all the Dog Post viewers. So, Champ Bailey's right. There are so many elite players, and he's talking about the defense. I think there's elite players everywhere on this team, but he's talking about that side of the ball. Let's run down through the front seven. Players that are probably going to play in the NFL at whatever capacity, even if it's just on a scout team, just on a practice squad. These are NFL guys. Adam Anderson's an NFL guy. Jordan Davis is an NFL guy. Nolan Smith is an NFL guy. Jalen Carter's an NFL guy. Trayvon Walker's an NFL guy. Nakobe Dean's an NFL guy. I think Devontae Wyatt can be an NFL guy. That's 7 in the front 7 look at that. I think Quay Walker has the potential to be an NFL guy. Go to the back end, Tyke Smith, who actually right before I started making this video, I just wrote about Tyke Smith's season-ending ACL tear, so you can go read about that on Dog Post, what our sources have told us about that. That's on the site, dogpost.com. That was a side note, but we go back to that Tyke Smith. Keely Ringo, Darian Kendrick, that's double digit. I lost count. I lost count on both hands. That's a lot of NFL talent on a defense. At least in my eyes, they're NFL talent. I'm not an expert on NFL talent. I'd like to think that I know what I'm watching though, and Champ Bailey and Paul Finebaum are, I think they were just right about a lot of things they were saying. This atmosphere is going to be insane. I'm expecting it. I'm expecting it to be extremely loud at the beginning of the game and throughout the game. I'm expecting Athens to be packed. I'm going to be running around like a crazy man all day, getting video coverage and doing some extra coverage for you guys at College Game Day and SEC Nation. That has only happened a few times where College Game Day and SEC Nation are in the same town at the same time. That doesn't happen very often. Part of it is the college football schedule for this Saturday is not super impressive, but the other part is it's a top 12 matchup. It's a top 11 matchup. Number 1 Georgia versus number 11 Kentucky. The Dogs are number 1. The crowd wants to be number 1. The machine is built, and it's a very exciting time for this Georgia football program. And I think I agree with what Paul Finebaum said. It's going to be a crazy place. I expect it to be. I'll check back in next week to confirm that. I will be all over social media this week bringing you guys coverage of that. So be on the lookout for that. Remember to go to the site dogpost.com for all your coverage. Thanks for watching.